you consent to the use of your personal data for the purpose of this meeting and to it being recorded. So, members, ladies and gentlemen, please be upstanding to welcome the Chairman and Vice Chairman of the Council.
Okay, we've got item 1. Do we have any priority business, Mr. Hayward?
Madam Chairman, I can confirm there's no priority business this evening.
Thank you. Item 2, we're on the minutes. The minutes of the meeting of the Council held on the 22nd of February 2022 are before you tonight at page 1 of your pack. Is it your wish that I confirm and sign the minutes of the Council held on the 22nd of February 2022? Thank you very much. Are there any apologies, Mr. Hayward?
Yes, Madam Chairman, we've had apologies from Councillor Mike Davies, Councillor Bernard Williams and Councillor Vince Merrick.
Thank you. Are there any declarations of interest? We don't have any? No. Thank you very much. We're now on to item 5. Questions under Council Procedure, Rules 11.4. Can I pass to Mr. Hayward?
Madam Chairman, I've received notice of an urgent question under Council Procedure Rule 11.4b, which the Leader of the Council has agreed can be put forward. The question is from Councillor Ian Sadler.
Thank you. Councillor Sadler, would you like to ask your question?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Can the Leader of Council take steps to ensure that residents taking part in the Homes for Ukraine scheme receive the maximum support possible, both by action of this Council and by liaison with other councils and appropriate bodies? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Sadler. Yes, you may.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Thank you very much, Councillor Sadler, for your question. Very relevant at the moment. The Government has recently announced the Homes for Ukraine scheme, and as a council, we'll be working closely with the Staffordshire County Council and other public sector organisations to respond to any approved visa applications from Ukrainian individuals or families who will be housed by sponsors living within the district. Visas approved by the Home Office will be input into a central database system, and in the case of a two-tier local authority, will then be forwarded to the relevant upper-tier authority. In the case of South Staffordshire Council, Staffordshire County Council will be the first instance to receive the details, who will then inform this council. This then triggers several actions that the council undertake to ensure households are suitable for incoming Ukrainian families. As I'm sure you appreciate, the situation is progressing very quickly. However, I can assure you that the council will respond when called upon. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Sadler. We're now on item 6. We now have a report of the leader of the council. Can I call on Councillor Lees to present his report, please?
Thank you very much, Madam Chairman. Good evening, members, again. I must start my report tonight with the wonderful news from IEC. I was very proud and honoured as leader to collect the main award of the evening on behalf of South Staffordshire Council of the UK Council of the Year at the IEC Public Sector Transformation Ceremony. We also won 2 gold awards at the London event, the Asset Management and Regeneration Award category for the Community Hub project and the Working Together Award category for our Localities Plus model. In other words, a very clean sweep for South Staffordshire in the hour of the night. At the weekend, I reflected on the impact of winning such a prestigious award as UK Council of the Year and recognised how far we had come as an organisation since I became a Cabinet member. When I took over as leader, I always said I wanted to build upon what had already been achieved, and I think we have definitely done that. As I've said before, I am so proud to be leader of a council with such dedicated members of staff who are most definitely willing to do what extra mile and embrace the cultural changes we have implemented over the last few years. And winning the Council of the Year most definitely demonstrates this. But we should not forget the part played by our past leader, Brian Edwards, in helping us achieve this.
Yeah.
What I like about the IEC Awards are that they are about continual improvement and recognition that transformation and cultural change takes place, if they are done well. I can remember 10 years ago when entering the IEC Awards for our locality model, I didn't get shortlisted. So if you think back 10 years on, and we not only win the Gold Award for our Communities Plus programme and Community Hub, and not forgetting 2 years ago the Gold Award for Transformation Services, but we were also deemed to be the strongest UK council judged against 80 other public sector organisations who entered submissions. So we should all be very proud of what we have collectively achieved to receive this prestigious award and look at the positive impact we are having on our residents and businesses across the district. And we are also listed for the LGC Award for Innovation, which will be announced in July, another great achievement. The awards are here for you all to see. Right, now going on to my portfolio, partnership services. Womben. There are delays with the Womben development while the Environmental Agency and our planning team seek to find a solution. However, whilst further ground investigation works will be required to fully discharge the condition, the Environmental Agency have agreed to partly discharge and allow work on certain parts of the development in tandem with the testing. The contractors have now started back on site yesterday the 21st. However, this week we will see very large billboards advertising the new development. 4 Ashes Unit 4E, working with the new tenants regarding the repairs to the building. And 4 Ashes Enterprise Park, all units have now been let as part of the business plan with factored in full occupancy after 12 months, so it's pleasing we've achieved that after 6 months, further adding to our income stream. Hilton Cross, just to confirm, the land sale has now gone through and it brings over £4 million into our investment pot. Now finally, the council tax. You'll recall that in February we agreed a balanced budget for a 4-year period of 25 up to 25-26 with a £5 increase in council tax, meaning £130 for Band E properties. As the council tax bills hit the doorsteps, we should remind the residents of how we offer the best value for money of services in the whole of Staffordshire, with South Staffordshire District Council having the lowest Bandy council tax by a long way in Staffordshire, being £100 less than the dearest of 230 and having the 5th lowest in the country, whilst offering winning services to our residents. I think I've covered the main points of my report, but if there's any questions, I'll be pleased to answer them.
Thank you, Councillor Lees. Are there any questions? No.
Thank you.
Carry on.
Right. Can I now call on Councillor Mason to update us on planning and business enterprise?
Thank you, Chairman. I know you're all eagerly awaiting the member session that we've got on next Wednesday, the 30th. I know you're all also eagerly awaiting what the government are going to say about duty to cooperate under their new levelling up paper. I can tell you now that on the details we've got, there is no removal of duty to cooperate. The key changes that they're highlighting are the simplification of local plans, ensuring they are transparent and easier to engage with, consideration of new models for a new infrastructure levy, a number of policies and powers to enable planning to better support town centre regeneration, not that that applies very much to us, improving democracy and engagement in planning decisions, and supporting environmental protection through planning. There is nothing at all about duty to cooperate. On next Wednesday's session, we will be doing a review of the preferred options consultation so far, the consultation process, and remind you of the fact that we actually won a certificate of excellence for our approach. We'll be doing an overview of the responses, the statutory consultees' responses, residents' responses, and the development industry responses. We'll also be discussing how we manage the risks around the duty to cooperate and other planning authorities, the pressure that we're under from developers to increase housing numbers, the pressure that we're under from developers to deliver more employment land, and how we actually deal with the infrastructure delivery and the master planning and managing the timetable through to the submission to the Planning Inspectorate. I know that you're all totally and utterly fed up with hearing from me about councils that don't actually follow the same approach that we are using. So rather than hear from me, I thought I'd let my Cabinet Support Member, Councillor Victoria Wilson, take over from me on this one so you don't hear me ranting on the same subject.
Thank you, Councillor Mason. So a case in point in terms of failure to cooperate and to come forward is Basildon Borough Council. A plan designed to put forward sites for more than 20,000 homes between 2014 and 2038 was labelled unsound by their local MP and the council itself. The argument was that huge swathes of precious greenbelt being offered up to developers and an online petition opposing the plan and amassing almost 5,000 signatures could not be ignored. And that does sound rather familiar. At a meeting of the full council recently, Basildon determined that it would reject and withdraw from the local plan altogether. Basildon Council's decision to withdraw the local plan has had massive consequences. The Housing Minister has threatened to give all planning powers to Essex County Council instead. They could now put houses anywhere and everywhere in the borough. Could we imagine if South Staffordshire did similarly and our county council was given a mandate to take control of this council's plan? Let's take note of this and feel reassured that this council, which has only just won a gold award for its local plan consultation that other councils are looking to emulate in order to complete their own local plans, is doing absolutely the right thing by our communities. Some very difficult decisions are having to be made, and checking all areas with a fine-tooth comb is continuously undertaken to ensure that there are no improvements to be made. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank officers for the often very thankless task that they're dealing with, and ask that members support them as much as possible. In the long run, I'm sure we will do the right thing for our communities and for generations to come.
Thank you, Councillor Wilson. There's just a couple of other points that I want to highlight. One of those is the enterprise aspect of my portfolio and the business support. I told you previously about the events that we'd had at Halfpenny Green Vineyard in December, and we've only just recently had another event here at the Community Hub. And I had the good fortune to actually run into the people who are dealing with us on supplying a thing called the virtual high street. Now, I don't know if you've yet had any of these lovely little markers go up in your villages, but they're certainly in Pattingham. Now, the virtual high street is designed to support local businesses online. It is backed and funded by this council, and it gives businesses access to business development tools and a platform to sell products or services without the competition of major online marketplaces, as well as giving a place for locals to keep up to date with the latest in their community. This afternoon, we had a presentation at Cabinet by Kirsten Rawlins, our media guru, and you'll shortly be seeing a video presentation of how this virtual high street works. And we are planning on getting our people out and about, engaging with the local businesses in the high streets to see if they'll sign up for it. It's going to be no cost to them whatsoever, and hopefully it'll illuminate the characteristics and the individual character of all of our villages throughout the district. There's various other things in the report, but I'm sure you've read them yourself, so I'll finish there, and if there's any questions, we're happy to take them.
Thank you, Councillor Lawrence. Would you like to speak?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. It's a question about the Warm Homes programme. Like everybody in the room is, I am very alarmed by the huge increases in energy prices around the world, but more importantly about in South Staffordshire. Gas has gone up, electric's gone up, petrol's gone up, and prices have doubled. And the forecast is that during the coming year, next 12 months, they're going to increase again. Now, the Warmer Homes project has been very successful, but I think it might be at risk because there's going to be a huge demand created by people who cannot afford to heat their homes next year. They won't be able to afford these prices, and they'll be knocking on the door of the Warmer Homes project, asking for help and support to keep their homes warm next winter. Can we have reassurances that the Warmer Homes project will be able to meet those additional demands, please? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Lawrence. Yes, Councillor Wilson will answer that one.
Thank you. Yes, you're quite right. The rapid rise in the cost of living, and particularly energy costs, is a concern for us all, of course. Anything we can do to ease those concerns while assisting the wider climate change agenda is warmly welcomed. Just to give a little bit of outline, Staffordshire Warmer Homes is a scheme run by Staffordshire County Council in partnership with districts and boroughs around the county, as well as Housing Plus, which has sourced £400,000 for themselves from the project. The scheme helps residents make their homes greener and more energy efficient. Homeowners will be able to install solar panels and external wall insulation, as well as loft and underfloor insulation, draft proofing and ventilation. If residents live in a rural area that's too far away from the gas mains, they can install air source heat pumps, and all of this is completely free of charge. People who claim benefits or universal credit people who have a low income or no income, those who are currently unemployed or are elderly or disabled, or those who have very young children are all eligible to apply. As you can see in the report, a similar project, Beat the Cold, began working in partnership with South Staffordshire Council, and there have been 676 advice line inquiries on that, and that means we've managed to help residents with an estimated bill saving of over £8,500 already. In total for Stafford and South Staffordshire, there will be a £1.1 million fund available. The scheme goes live next month, and members will be notified on allocations and measures available when we get that information through. This award-winning council will be able to offer the initiative to the most vulnerable people within our district to ensure that none of them should struggle with heating costs here. So in answer to my respected colleague's question, I'd like to reassure him that we do not expect the scheme to be overwhelmed. Of course, it will be very interesting to see what the Chancellor, Rishi Sunak, the microphone keeps going. Yes, it'll be interesting to see what Rishi Sunak tells us tomorrow in his spring statement. We're very pleased to have been able to access this additional funding together with Housing Plus's commitment. We've been very, very prudent in this council with our finances. I think it's telling me to be quiet, so I won't be much longer. We've been extremely prudent in this council with our finances, and this has allowed us to keep our council tax low. Indeed, so much so that I'd like to remind everybody, as if we didn't know already, that we are the 4th lowest council tax in the country. We have a tremendous track record for looking after our residents, and we're proud to be able to help our communities to keep warm and safe going forward. And if there are any questions coming from this, then I'd be delighted to either answer now or outside of this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Wilson. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I think the major concern for me is the fact that the building regulations have not been changed enough yet for us to be able to be insisting that our local plan is developed by developers who are willing to insulate homes properly, provide air source heat pumps and solar panels and similar items that will actually assist them in their house budgets and in the long term really pay for themselves. Can I ask that this council lobby the central government, please, for this change in building regulations urgently? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Allen. Councillor Mason.
I'm not quite sure what response I can give you other than to say we are arguing to have those sort of things put into our own local plan documents, regardless of what government itself dictates.
Thank you. Councillor Lees, would you like to carry on?
Thank you. I'd like to call on Councillor Heseltine now, please.
Thank you. Good evening, Madam Chairman, officers and members. As usual, all the relevant information is contained within the report, but I'd just like to highlight a few of the items contained within. A new dust monitor has recently been set up, and officers are monitoring it to ensure that it's working correctly. The monitor's function is to measure fine particulate matter, PM 2.5, whatever that may be, which is required by DEFRA as part of our local air quality monitoring programme. The Environmental Protection Team are proactive in work which includes sampling private water supplies and inspecting caravan site licences. This work should be completed by the end of the year. The Omicron variant of COVID in December placed extra burdens on the team once again, and they continue to support Staffordshire County Council's public health team. COVID support officers were out and about throughout the district prior to and after Christmas, promoting the message of keeping safe to businesses and the public. Information to businesses about discretionary grants was also given on behalf of the Enterprise and Growth team. South Staffordshire has recorded the lowest level of crime over the last 12 months, 4,437 offences, which is a 2% reduction. More data can be found in the report. ANPRs, automatic number plate readers, have been funded by the Community Safety Partnership, and these, coupled with an overhaul of this council's deployable CCTV system, are being used to identify cross-border criminals and to reassure residents by assisting the police with ongoing enquiries. Our geographical position makes us vulnerable to cross-border and county lines crime. Antisocial behaviour has seen a reduction of 14% over the last 12 months as a result of much partnership work, police operations which have targeted Friday and Saturday night hotspots, and joint operations with the British Transport Police. Community safety discussion forums are being held within each locality through the police liaison representative from every parish. The former Safer Neighbourhood panel are offering support. A gypsy and traveller incursion at Four Ashes Industrial Estate was dealt with swiftly. There's much work taking place in the mobile homes fit and proper persons remit, the details of which can be found in the report. Food inspection programme. Due to concerns over the Omicron variant, inspections slowed down in December and early January. However, inspections have now resumed and guidelines from the Food Standards Agency are being followed. The overall broadly compliant figure to date is 91%, which is up from 87% last year. Although there has been a slight increase on fly tipping figures for December 2021 compared to 2020, see the charts in the report, the numbers are still relatively low. It is pleasing to note that during December there were 2 successful court prosecutions for fly tipping, that in January of this year a scrap metal dealer was prosecuted for unauthorised scrap dealing. Details of the fines etc. are in the report, where you can also find information about new investigations, FPNs, letters sent, pending prosecutions and court cases. One fly tip is one too many, and we have to send out the message that actions have consequences and that we will not tolerate fly tipping in our district. I think that this report shows just how broad and diverse the remit of the environmental health and licensing actually is, and so I would like to thank everyone on these teams for their continuing hard work and dedication. Thank you. If anyone has any questions, I'll do my best to answer them.
Councillor Sadler.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I just would like us to remember that COVID has not gone away. The rates are now rising again, and we need to keep pushing the messages about keeping people safe. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to ask, do we have any sites? Is there a list of sites for this particular measurement you mentioned at the start of the report, the Environmental Protection section?
If you look in the report, it does mention it in the report.
What I meant was, is there a list for members to look at? I've got a site in mind in my area where I'd like to see the air quality tested. How do I go about that?
Yeah. I would suggest that you contact the environmental health team and ask for advice from there, because I haven't got that information.
Thank you, Councillor Boyle. No more questions? Please, can you move on?
Thank you. Can I call on Councillor David Williams, Business Transformation?
Thank you, Chairman. Good evening, everybody. Obviously, members will be aware about the Council Plan 2020-24, which identified key enablers for the vision of prosperous communities and vibrant communities within South Staffordshire. Therefore, to work towards this, ICT has continued to provide, protect and support Council's network infrastructure, data and end-user devices by all officers and members in the delivery of the following key enablers. We've worked with the Leisure Investment Plan to update the infrastructure switches and wireless access points, which are all underway at our 4 leisure centres. We've helped the waste strategy within the business transformation team. We've supported waste, customer services and finance with the commencement of a new registrations for the chargeable green service waste. Residents can register and pay online or over the phone, and there's significant preference for online registration, with over 80% of residents registering online for this service. And obviously, in this fantastic new community hub, the ICT team continue to support the community hub and ensure equipment is installed or relocated by the required times, and new solutions are being commissioned and supported. A digital signage solution to enable digital content such as council news, events, notifications and social media streams is now displayed across all the fixed display screens within the community hub. We've been working with HM Land Registry to continue to progress enabling information captured by the council to be shared with HMLR so that the National Land Search Service can be provided. We've also been doing some key activities. These include a direct routing enabling telephone calls now through Microsoft Teams. Proof of concept pilot is underway and utilising this investment made in Microsoft licensing. The cloud backup project is now complete, and a cloud-based platform has been successfully deployed to increase the resilience for web-based applications by enabling secure access. IT continues to work for the community hub, and obviously with the successful delivery of the off-site backups using the cloud technology and the intelligent routing of internet traffic, the resilience programme is now focused on business continuity, disaster recovery and the adoption of cloud technologies to potentially improve the availability and recovery time for such council applications. Work to finalise a new specification for the new website and cloud hosting platform is underway, with a tender expected to be published in spring 2022. And I can also confirm that we were very successful in ensuring that we did not fall foul to the hacks of IT data that went on in the last year. Happy to take questions, Chairman.
Thank you, Councillor Williams. Are there any questions? No. And I pass over to Councillor Lees again.
I'd like to call on Councillor Reid to give welfare services, please.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Good evening, members. You've got the report in front of you, members, but I would like to add to that report the inform you about the collection rate targets for the council tax and the business rates. We're currently at 97.3% for the council tax, and we're also 97.5% for the business rates, and we expect to be near 98% by the end of March. These are extremely good figures, but we know what is ahead of us in the future, and we'll be monitoring these figures very closely to see how people are faring in the difficult times that we're facing. I want to touch on the council tax energy rebate. As you're all well aware, the government announced the rebate for the A to D properties. We have 35,000 approximately A to D who are eligible for the rebate, out of which there's 27,000 paid by direct debit. So these people will automatically receive their £150 directly into their bank accounts before the end of April. Approximately 8,000 do not pay DD, direct debit, so we do not have their bank details. We will write to them at the end of April, letting them know that they need to apply online. Those that aren't or are unable to apply online will be notified. We have also been given additional funding for a discretionary scheme. For those that are not eligible, for example, they may be in a higher banded property, but may be suffering hardship. We are in the process of developing this scheme, which will be ready before the end of April. Also, I'd like to speak to you about the Household Support Fund, which you've noticed in your emails has gone ahead. And this is to support families with children struggling with their household bills and essential costs. We have identified 412 families currently in receipt of the council tax support who are on low income and have an outstanding balance on their council tax account. This funding has allowed us to reduce their bills by £230 for 163 outstanding families, and another 249 families that own less than £230. So their balance will be cleared by the end of March. 9 other families owe more than £1,000 in council tax, and we are supporting these families to be able to reduce their debt with budgeting and debt advice and working with other organisations, including the Citizens Advice. So you can see that this council is working hard to help those that are suffering with their payments and the oncoming difficulties that they'll be facing in the future. That completes my report, Madam Chairman. If anybody has any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Reid. Are there any questions? Right, Councillor Lawrence, please.
Thank you very much, Madam Chairman. It's a question on the rebate for the energy. Very grateful to the government for giving everybody from Band A to Band D £150 rebate. Very nice. I just hope there's more to come in the future from the Chancellor, because the country needs support through this crisis. But my question basically is, I'm not sure what you intend to do with those people that haven't got access to the internet in collecting their rebates. You said you'd write to them and that was it. I mean, most people paying by direct debit, they're going to be lucky they're going to get their £150 in April. What about the people that we have to write to that are not on the internet and therefore cannot apply as quickly? How do we ensure we get the money to them as quickly as possible, please? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Lawrence. Can you answer that, Councillor Reid, please?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Thank you for that question, Councillor Lawrence. Yes, I can assure you that every care will be taken to ensure that the people that aren't au fait with the world of laptop and digitals, they will be contacted personally, and they will be invited to either fill in their forms over the phone with an officer's help, or they will be asked to call in to the hub to enable them to fill in their form. We know who they are. We've got the list of those that have to pay council tax. So it's, as you see, the figures are reduced to quite considerable amount for those that aren't able to use a laptop, or they don't like using a laptop. So that issue is being thoroughly catered for. Thank you, Mr. Collins.
Thank you, Councillor Reid. Councillor Lawrence?
Quick supplementary. There's 8,000 people that are not going to be paid almost immediately. And you've just said you know who the people are that haven't got access to the internet, etc. So what is the number? You know that. And how long is it going to, do you calculate it will take before these people get their rebate, please? Thank you.
Thank you for the supplementary, Councillor Lawrence. I think that the figures that I've given you show you how few members are in that situation. The amount of time that it takes to get the payment back depends on two things, isn't it? It depends on the people themselves coming forward, and I'm sure they will fairly quickly. So let us assume that anyone that is eligible and has been notified, and they will be notified, each and every one, I'm sure that they will soon be in touch, and as soon as they're in touch, we can process, and they'll get their rebate as soon as possible.
Thank you, Councillor Reid. Councillor Penniel.
Thank you. Question really about support for food banks. I'm very well aware in our village the demand on food banks has doubled during this winter. The discretionary funding that's made available to clergy, there's also great demand on that as well for meeting bills for people. Is there any money available for support for food banks, or have you received any appeals from them? Because the well in Wolverhampton is quite overwhelmed at the moment by the demand, and it delivers into Wolverhampton postcodes. And there's another food bank in Wombourne that has also been very active in our area, particularly in South Staffordshire, and I have to say they've been supported by our parish council from some funding we've made available. But I really feel that the demand is such, and my concern is such now, that how they get through the rest of the winter with increased heating bills and fuel bills as well, I feel very concerned about that. Has the council make any funding available on appeal from food banks?
Thank you for the question, Councillor Payne. I think that I'll have to have discussions with our officers, because it's a case of how much and where's it coming from. And I haven't at the moment seen any sign of any particular amount of money being earmarked for what you're talking about. But I will talk to the Assistant Director of Welfare Services to see how we stand on that one. And I'm sure you know that we will actually help as much as we can, because that's what we're here for. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Reid. No more questions? No. Councillor Lees, please.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I'd now like to call on Councillor Bates to give the report on community services.
Thank you, Chairman. Good evening, members. I don't propose to talk about waste and recycling this evening, but I am going to show you the blue bag that I've been talking about for some time. So I'm going to ask Councillor Williams to give me a hand. So that's the bag, and as far as the contents are concerned, residents can put 50% as much as they put in their normal blue bin. And it's got a lid there which comes down onto Velcro, so it does hold it and it shouldn't blow about in the wind. Just moving on from that, what I'd like to say is that these blue bags will be available from week commencing the 9th and 16th of May, and they will be delivered to our customers at that time. I'd now like to move on to the street scene and talk about grounds maintenance. Ground maintenance operations remain on schedule. The shrub pruning has continued throughout the winter and will be completed by the end of this month. Work has commenced on the new grass growing season, and this is being carried out with a new fleet of mowers. The procurement of the mowers has increased the resilience of the service as procurement of the mowers are now available that we can use when our own mowers are broken down. So that's a real plus as far as we're concerned there. Moving on to tree works, the tree works team continue to compete to carry out work on trees for residents and businesses, completing many jobs across the district and generating income for this council. We have now received some very good feedback from all our customers. The team have quoted for 214 jobs since the launch of the service in November 2020. And we've been successful in gaining work on over 60% of the cases we've quoted on. The team are noticing repeat requests from existing customers, which is a positive reflection of the service provided, and there's been an increase in the number of quotations as the good word spreads. The team have also been working at Bagridge Country Park alongside the rangers to help with the maintenance of the vast tree stock that we have there, rather than using outside contractors, which provides savings again to the council. Moving on to leisure centres, the leisure investment plan, arrangements in principle have now been reached with 3 academy trusts, and work continues with the legal team to finalise the joint use agreements. The work will include upgrades to reception and centre branding, swimming pools and changing rooms. The REBA 5 costs, and REBA, that's the Royal Institute of British Architects, those costs have now been received from 3 of the 4 sites. The leisure centres are now asking to full capacity with a focus on returning attendances to the pre-COVID levels. Considerable effort has gone into continuing to get the customer engagement, and membership fees have now returned to normal pricing, and membership is increasing month by month. Membership numbers continue to grow and currently stand at 3,068, which is 80% of the pre-COVID figures. And I'm pleased to report that £255,000 has been received from central government in recent days to offset the loss of income. This figure is in addition to an earlier payment of £397,500, and these 2 payments go a long way to minimise the shortfall of income for our leisure centres during the lockdown period. Members, this completes my report. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Councillor Bates.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I know you said you didn't want us to talk about it, but I do have a question on the waste strategy. And I'm not expecting an answer tonight, so happy for you to take it away and get back to me, that would be appreciated. So in your report, it states that Ricardo have been hard at work analysing scenarios for delivering separate food waste collection. Now, my limited understanding of the Environment Act is that garden waste from households is a recyclable waste stream, and therefore under the second condition must be collected for composting. Now that condition doesn't seem to differentiate from those who can afford permits and those who can't. So I can only assume and personally hope that we may at some point be returning to free district-wide garden waste collection. If this is the case, to reduce the amount of collection rounds, has collecting garden and food waste together been considered as part of these scenarios that is discussing here? Thank you.
Your question, and as you said, I'm not able to give you that answer, but what I will do, I'll speak to my Assistant Director, Mark Jenkinson, and I will come back to you with an answer. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Fisher. Thank you, Councillor Bates. And we have now Councillor Cope.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Can I refer to page 28 in Violent Crime? My question is, I note that the two prosecutions are both in Imley Lane that you quote there. What the question is, how many RIPA applications have we applied for, and are they spread across the district? I'm prompted by the fact that these prosecutions are all in one area. So how many have we got across the district, and are they spread? Thank you.
That's Councillor Heseltine's question.
Councillor Heseltine. Thank you.
If you let me get back to you, I'll find that information for you, Councillor Coe.
I'm going to pass you to our Chief Executive, Dave Haywood. I think he can answer this one.
Yeah, just to clarify, we've got one application in, but it covers a whole range of areas across the district. So it's one application, but it's a number of sites across the district. Yes, it can.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Cope and Dave Haywood. Councillor Lees.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. That completes the Cabinet reports.
Thank you very much. Now we move on to item 7. We now turn to page 33 to the report of the Leader of the Council regarding the pay policy statement. Can I call on Councillor Lees to present the report again?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I would like to propose that Council agree the pay policy statement 22-23 as detailed in Appendix A. As members will be aware, Council is required to prepare a pay policy statement for each financial year, and the proposed pay policy statement of 22-23 is before you this evening. There is one update proposed in this year's pay policy statement. This is set out in paragraph 4.3 of the report. So please support the pay policy statement as detailed in Appendix A. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Lees. Do I have a seconder?
Yes, Madam Chairman, I'm happy to second that.
Are there any questions? No. Does anyone wish to speak? No. Councillor Lees, would you like to wind up?
No, thank you, Madam Chairman.
Okay. Thank you.
Just need approval of the policy.
Okay. So, councillors, do you approve of the policy? Can we have a show of hands, please? As you know. Item 8. We now turn to page 43 to the report of the Monitoring Officer regarding recent urgent action decisions. Can I call on Mrs. Folkes to present the report?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Good evening, members. This is just a report for noting it's a requirement of the Council's constitution that if the urgent action powers are exercised by the Chief Executive, then they are reported to the Council meeting. The urgent action decisions undertaken by the Chief Executive on the 15th of December are set out at paragraph 4.3 of your report and are all available on the Council's website. As I say, this report is just for noting. Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Thank you, Mrs. Folkes. Are there any questions, or does anyone wish to speak on the item which is noting? No? Thank you very much. Thank you. We now have a late item added to the agenda with my consent under Rule 25C. The report is on this item was emailed to members on Friday and is available to view on CMIS. A copy has been provided to those members who received printed copies. The confirmation of an earlier decision is needed in order for proposals to proceed as planned on the 1st of April. This is a report of the Chairman of Licensing and Regularity Committee on taxi licensing. Can I call on Councillor Barrow to present the report?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Delegation of the taxi and private hire licensing functions to City of Wolverhampton Council. This proposal was considered and approved by members on the 14th of December. Since then, discussions have progressed and we are now seeking confirmation of the earlier decision and delegated authority to allow the agreement to be entered into. I would like to propose the recommendations with one minor amendment to the first recommendation, which is item 2.1, so that it reads as follows. It is recommended that Council approve the delegation, the taxi and private hire non-executive licensing functions, including but not limited to the functions as set out in Appendix 3 of South Staffordshire District Council to City of Wolverhampton Council for the initial period of 3 years. The recommendation of item 2.2 that there has been no change and is on the report. Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Thank you, Councillor Barrow. Do we have a seconder? We do. I'll second that, Madam Chairman. Thank you, Councillor Johnson. Are there any questions? Councillor Fisher.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Just one regarding to the income. So in the report, I've read this evening that for 21-22, there's a budgeted income of £60,000, which will be lost if we transfer these services over to City of Wolverhampton Council. But then in 417, it says that facility will be made within the proposed transfer agreement for the City of Wolverhampton Council to purchase services from this council to the value of approximately 60,000 over 3 years. So I'm guessing there'll be an effect on the MTFS, either a net gain, possibly in years 2 and 3. But more, what is those services? Is it just what's listed in 416? Because that's very vague in what services they're going to be purchasing from us and what impact that will have on our services in other areas for that £60,000 per year for 3 years.
Thank you, Councillor Fisher. I call on Mrs. Folkes.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Councillor Fisher, I think that's actually a typo in the report. It's 60,000 per annum, so apologies for that. So the idea, yes. So the idea is that the agreement with the City of Wolverhampton Council will offset that loss of licensing income. So the council will still receive £60,000 per annum, but it won't be from taxi licensing income. So there's no detrimental impact on the MTFS. Sorry, your other point was on?
Yeah, just it's very vague in what services they're going to get for that £60,000. Do you have any idea?
In addition to those that are listed in the report, that's what we're seeking to do the final discussions on, and we'll capture in the agreement that will be subject to the approval of the Chairman of Licensing and the Cabinet Member for Regulatory Services. So we need to pin those down absolutely.
Councillor Allen.
Thank you. Could I have a brief explanation, please, from Mrs. Phelps about what the addition is to the recommendation?
Yes, absolutely. The report, because it was produced fairly late on, unfortunately, by the time we'd published it, I then realised that in order to be absolutely sure that we are not tripping up from a legal point of view, wanted the additional wording. So whilst you're delegating the functions as set out in the appendix, it's delegating functions including those but not limited to those. So for example, if we set out that you're delegating a section 59.2 power in the appendix, and in order to transact the business they needed to exercise a section 59.3 power, if we haven't named it and we're just saying you're delegating the powers as listed, there's a danger that something could get missed. So rather than doing a specific one, it's a generic one but within the licensing function, so not anything that you wouldn't expect to be within that licensing function.
Thank you, Mrs. Phelps. Does anybody else wish to speak? Councillor Lawrence.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I wasn't going to, but I'll be very brief. I mean, as a member of the licensing committee, we've been looking at this. We've had numerous sessions over 2 or 3 years. Wolverhampton council officers came to us as salesmen and they did a marvellous job, because I was very much against this when it was first put on the agenda. I wasn't prepared to give away our responsibility to another authority. But they're doing very well, not only for themselves, but for authorities like us that are agreeing to go with them. And it's a win-win, because I believe we'll end up with a better service, the public will get a better service, the public will be safer, and it won't cost us a penny more. Rest my case. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Lawrence. Right. Do you wish to wind up, Councillor Barrow?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I think the report says it for itself.
Very much. Is it your wish that the recommendation is carried? Those in favour, can I have a show of hands, please? Thank you, Councillor. Those against, can I have a show of hands, please? And any abstentions? Thank you very much, councillors. The motion is carried. Thank you. We now turn to item 9. I think this is me, actually. Sorry. But actually, I'm just going to change things. I hope you don't mind. But I've just noticed our staff are all sitting here very quietly listening to what things are going. And I really do think they deserve an applaud and our thanks so much. You've done a wonderful job, and we really do appreciate your work. Thank you. Right, my sort of quick report. Last Friday, the 11th of March, I planted a special rowan oak at 11 a.m. at the entrance of the council offices of Histon Hill to commemorate the Queen's Platinum Jubilee. And I'm hoping when it comes out, it'll be beautiful. I'm sure it will. I then travelled with my consort to Tutbury Castle to have tea with another Queen, Mary, Queen of Scots. On this occasion, she was complete with her head. I'm glad to say. Thank you, Rita. This was a fundraising event by the Mayor of East Staffordshire. We had a right royal day. The following Monday, I raised the Commonwealth flag to commemorate the Commonwealth Day and read out Her Majesty's message that she sent to all the members of the Commonwealth. My thanks to the councillors who were able to support me on both occasions. Last Friday, we went to the Moorlands Mayor's fundraising ball held at Alton Towers. It was very good. It should have been my ball, but I had to change the date, but it was very good. I have been proud to promote the success of South Staffordshire Council, especially on winning the Gold Award as the best UK council of the year for 2022 at the IESE Public Sector Transformation Awards event. I shall, of course, continue to promote that success at future events. Well done, everyone. I have 6 more district events to attend, plus a talk to the Mothers Union group on the history of the district chairman's chain. That's going to be interesting. And an Anzac service at Cannon Chase Walk Cemetery. It is now getting close to my civic dinner, which will be held on Friday, the 8th of April at Himley Hall. I hope you have received an invitation. It will be my last fundraising event for Cancer Research UK. So I hope you will all come and support me. All I have to do now is to thank you for all attending and for your support, and hope you will join me and my consort Ken for food and drink in the cafe area and members room. Thank you. I think it's been a wonderful council meeting tonight, and it's so nice to see everybody here. Thank you, members.
Please stand whilst the chairman and vice chairman leave the council chamber.